How's everybody doing? My name is Matt Smith. I'm with Family First Life Northwest. Thank you, Sean, for having me on the Next Level call. I'm excited to cover a multitude of information with you today. We're going to talk about several different things, which I'll get to here shortly. Before I get to it, I want to make sure that you pound that like button, tag people you know that want to see these videos, share it, because our business is exploding, coming off this record month in March. And I expect nothing but more records to be broken here in April with Family First Life. The couple different areas that I'm going to cover is I'm going to talk to you about how to rise above challenges that we face today. I'm going to also cover how to get more work done in the day. I'm also going to cover how to achieve the success and outcome that you're looking for. We'll talk about 7 signs that make you more successful in this business. And then we'll start to pivot towards the end of the call on tips for personal production, hiring, etc. Give as much information that we can jam pack in the next 50 minutes as possible. So I look forward to sharing this with you as well. So in regards to rising above challenges, I want you to think back, if you can, if you're not old enough, that's okay, but I want you to think back to 2008. And I want you to think about that recession that we went through. And now let's talk about businesses in general. So in 1975, Bill Gates started Microsoft. In 1976, Steve Jobs started Apple. Those were terrible times in regards to our economy. Very difficult times. Huge crash in the 80s. So the next thing I would say is 1997, Netflix started. And they had to battle through 2 large dips and recessions, beat out competitors like Blockbusters that went out of business. They had to deal with a lot of things. Facebook, 2004, 2008, the economy crashes, but then Facebook has been able to really take over an industry in regards to social media. So think about that. And the reason I say that is Family First Life story is very similar to those of those big businesses that you're used to. So whether or not we dip into a major recession is yet to be known. Obviously, indications show that due to the stock market. We'll see where the earning potentials come out. We'll see if it's quarter over quarter and all that information comes out. But right now, with the uncertainty in the market and the place, the job market, etc., it's obviously looking that way. It's looking pretty grim in regards to the workforce and a lot of different businesses. You should feel fortunate enough that we're in a recession-proof industry that is able to make you an essential worker in this environment. Check with your state, but I've seen it in most states. We become essential workers, so it allows it to operate and navigate throughout this process, while everybody else is unfortunately not able to do their job, which is a tough situation. So we have a unique opportunity just simply because we're able to help families that are looking for help. We're able to get in front of clients. We're able to help hire and recruit and train these agents to be successful. The interesting part about 2008 is Sean Mike started his career in financial services in 2008, right in the middle of a recession. Paul McLean and Andrew Taylor both started, all 3 of these people started in different industries, by the way. And they both Paul and Andrew started in 2008 as well. I started in 2009. Mike Killamette started at the same time we did. The reason why I'm sharing this with you is more millionaires, billionaires, acquisitions are going to happen because of the current turmoil that we're facing than ever before. So some of you are thinking, why is this happening to me? I would tell you it's happening for you. So make sure that you change your perspective on what you're looking at, because over the next, whether it lasts, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it's going to be, but what you do over the next few months is not going to just shape 2020, in my belief. It's actually going to shape the next decade of your life and how this is going to look for you. So we're going to talk about things like this and get you going and get you started. So right now is not a time where you loosen up on business. Right now, what I would suggest is more structure. So if you're someone that is struggling with your habits, if you're someone that's struggling with getting up at the same time, if you're someone that's struggling with different aspects of this, you need to make sure that your schedule is locked tight, because you should have no white space on your calendar. Right now, more than ever, you should be able to see results in this business. So many people are becoming unemployed, if not unemployed. So many people that are sharp individuals, just like you, are looking for work. Interesting stat that I found out is 19 of our 25 top earners in the company all came from completely like different industries, whether it be automotive, whether it be mortgage industry, whether it's a service industry. They've came from different industries. What that means is anybody can do this. So don't label someone because they're in a specific industry. Make sure that you give everyone this opportunity, because it's going to take your business to the next level. So in this regard, think of more structure, not less. People really need that, especially when they're going from like a W-2 job where they have all the structure in the world and they come into our 1099 world. A lot of people have the wrong mindset. They want to say, oh, now I have freedom. Now I have the ability to do what I want to do. Your bank account is going to reflect the structure, the habits that you perform on a daily basis, plain and simple. The next topic I'll talk to you about is making sure that you break your days up into sections. How do we get more things done? Well, you can break up sections like this. You ever notice, like in a morning, for example, when you are like, man, I feel like I got a day's worth of work just in the last 4 hours. And then some days in the morning, you think, gosh, I don't feel like I got anything done. Well, if you break up your days into mini days, and what I mean by this is 6 a.m. to noon, noon to 6 p.m. to midnight, 3 mini days, and your job inside those mini days is to have as many activities, conversations, appointments in those 6-hour blocks as possible, then I believe that compounding effect is going to dominate and take you to another level. Because what if in 2 months you come out this and you're dominating many days, you're dominating your schedule, you have no white space, and your competitors or your competition, or however you want to deem this, is working less. Instead of 24 hours in a day, you're condensing 3 days into one just by having these mini days. What I would say too is you could be, instead of 30 days on the calendar, you could turn your 30 days into 90, right? It's amazing how many people at Family First Life that have figured out a way to do this. I can think of Eric Schmidt. I think of Brian Rollins. I can think of a lot of different people that have condensed schedules, that have collapsed time frame, that have had extreme amount of success early and often. And it's impressive to see people do that. So if you're someone that's new and you are looking to dominate, the best way to do this is to make sure we condense your schedule, get it into these mini days so we can help get as much done in 6-hour blocks and focus on your next 6-hour blocks. And one thing that I learned from Sean Ruggiero a long time ago is he does a phenomenal job with his calendar. So if all of you saw Sean's calendar, he has about every 15 minutes, it's full from the top, from the bottom to the top to the bottom, it's full with schedule. And he not only schedules his business side of things, he schedules his family events, he schedules his workouts, everything's scheduled. And that structure is what takes someone like Sean and the AMS business, advanced market sales, to a whole nother level. That bleeds through Family First Life. Sean Mike's no different. Our leaders at Family First Life, all of them are no different. Mark Mead, etc. All you guys are no different. It's an honor to be in business with every single one of you, to see how you navigate through businesses. So think about that. That's a very important scenario. I also want you to think about, what are we selling and how can we sell differently? What I mean by this is, you ever notice that, like with McDonald's, they're selling happiness? They got a clown. They sell Happy Meals. They sell more food than anybody in the world, and their food is not the best, but they seem to dominate the marketplace due to the amount of locations they open up and the amount of happiness they're always selling. Happy Meals. It's their number one seller. Think about Disneyland. or Disney World, and it's the happiest place on the planet. What do they sell? They're selling happiness. Think about Walmart. What made them different? Isn't their competition very similar? Well, they have people at the doors that are greeting you, making you feel good as you walk in the door. They're selling happiness. So my challenge to you in regards to what we do is when you're talking to your clients and you're painting a picture with words and you're putting them in that picture, and when their spouse gets that tax-free check and it drops in their bank account upon their death and whatnot, and they see that, do you understand the amount of emotion and joy that's going to give their loved ones when they're gone? Are we talking about that enough? Are we selling our own level of happiness with financial services? You could say the same thing in advanced market sales. You could say the same thing of stopping losses, participating in gains, and never having to worry about that. Tom Hagner always talks about, a happy retirement is one that has lifetime income. Well, it's that worry-free scenario. Selling this and talking about emotion makes a ton of sense to so many people. So sometimes if you got a little more time and it's not the income producing activities hours, think about that. Think about how you can evolve in your sales activities. Think about right now in a little bit trying times, how you can start to get better at what we do. I think trying to sell the happiness portion is something we miss a lot. And if you look at every successful business, man, that's all really people want in life, is to be happy. That's why people chase all kinds of different things in life, because they believe it's going to make them happy. So make sure that we evolve and get happiness into our schedules. Next, I'm going to pivot into how to get more done in a day. So first, it starts with you being completely organized, like we just talked about, having a massive schedule. And I think one of the keys to your success, especially in 2020, is it organized with income producing activities? And if it's not income producing activities, is it things that will result in becoming a better business owner? Meaning, if you're not on the phone setting appointments and you're not in front of people offering and selling insurance, then you should be talking to people about what we do and how we do it. One of the things that I've been talking to my team about recently that I think can be a very effective tool for everyone on this call is, right now you want to be unique. You want to tell your story in different ways. So if I'm an agent and you really, with social media, you're trying to get people's attention, and in order to get people's attention, you need to be creative. And do I think you need to be off the cuff creative? No. Here's what I mean by what I'm talking about. Imagine going on Facebook Live and talking about your day as an insurance agent. Imagine saying, you know what? Let me tell you a little bit of story about what I did today. I was able to meet with, John and Mary, who had not taken out insurance, and they were 72 years of age. And they told me reasons why they hadn't taken out the insurance. They actually had an insurance policy earlier. Now they realized that the time's running out and how important it was to alleviate the burden on their family when they die. So I talked to them about who's going to pick up the pieces when they were gone, and we identified it was their oldest son. I got to know their oldest son, Ben. He's the one that was going to, take care of everything in regards to their funeral costs. And it was an amazing experience, because I was able to sit with them for about 45 minutes. And I was able to put in place 2 policies for $15,000 a piece. As far as what the premiums were, is about $1,500 in premiums between the 2 policies. That's actually going to pay me roughly, a little over $1,200 in two days. I'm going to get a deposit in my bank account. And what's amazing about what we do for a living is I got $1,200 deposit in 2 days. I was there for only 45 minutes. And that's how life-changing our industry can be. Sometimes when we walk out of a client's house, especially like a final expense appointment, when you're there for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and you make $542 that got deposited in your bank account, it's an amazing feeling. Now, also on the flip side, you could tell a story and say, hey, I met with John and Mary. they had a retirement account that was just plummeting due to the current market and economic issues our country's facing. And they used to have 160 grand. It's gone down to 130 grand. We're able to stop the bleeding. We're able to make sure that they don't have to participate in any downside risk. It's still going to participate with the upside of the market. They're extremely happy. We're going to protect their money, make sure we move it over to the insurance company to give them what they want. And I'm going to get paid $7,230 here in another week or two once this gets finalized. They were extremely happy. Your money, your commissions didn't come from their money, it comes from the insurance company. So it's not like their 130 comes over, then it dips down. Their money comes straight over. So how you got paid on that scenario was beneficial to the client, it was beneficial to you. You protect their money. Imagine telling these stories with details and how attractive that would be to someone that looks at what we do. Also, maybe you got to tell the story that I told in the beginning of this call. Maybe you got to talk about, what's interesting about an industry is most industries and most successful people are built in times of financial crisis, whether it's personal or economic issues. And you could tell the story of Sean Mike, Andrew Taylor, Paul McLean, Mike Hillman. Those stories are real. So imagine how you could use both those scenarios and be creative and tell those stories. People are interested in stories. Facts do not sell, stories sell. That's extremely important aspect of what we do. The other thing I would tell you to make sure you're getting more done in a day is learn the rule of a 5-20. And what I mean by this is you should be on the phone a ton during the day. Where I see a lot of people fail is they're on the phone for 25 minutes with one person. That's not being effective or efficient. Your conversations with your agents should last 5 minutes or less. You're doing yourself a disservice and certainly them a disservice if it's longer. If you've been fortunate enough to ever talk to Sean Mike, conversations are generally, 3 minutes. And we get what we need to get done in that short period of time because he's got several different phone calls he's got to make. Well, it's really no different for you. If you're always open and willing to invest your time into different people, yes, that's important, but you're missing the point. You should be able to get the important aspects of what we do in 5 minutes. And if you're meeting someone face-to-face in regards to this business, should be 20 or less. Now, if you're talking to groups of people in meetings, yes, that can be a much longer scenario. If you're doing some sort of training with, multiple producers, etc., that's a different deal. If you're in a house, you should be there about an hour or less, yes. But I'm talking about really condensing and collapsing timeframes as much as possible. And remember the 5-20 rule. That's what I call the 5-20 rule. So the other scenario that I would say is you've got to take massive action from what we do. So I'm a firm believer that you need to be organized, as well as you need to make sure that you throw enough rice at the wall that some of it sticks, right? And for some of you, you literally just don't have enough rice. So you're not taking those steps of massive action, because massive action plus organization equals board member, equals $1 million business, equals huge success in what we do. So the deadliest combination is yes, organization. Yes, income producing actions. Also, you have to take massive actions. Understand that your words frame your results. What do I mean by this? Words can either, give you energy or deplete you with energy. Let's give some examples. If I'm pouring concrete and I don't have any forms and the concrete goes wherever I let it go, well, it's going to be sloppy and the concrete's going to get wherever it gets. But if I have forms and I want to build steps and I have all this built out, the concrete's going to flow wherever it goes, wherever you want it to. It won't be a mess. For most people, you're convincing yourself that this isn't going to work, or you're convincing yourself reasons why this shouldn't work, or whatever it might be. It's important for you to make sure that you're speaking things to an existence. And I don't mean like cheesy things that you truly don't believe. I just need you to not convince yourself that you're tired, because energy has a lot to do with this business. Let me give you another example that I think is important to understand. So energy is omnipresent. It's equally distributed all the time. So what I mean by this is, if you think of, let's say you had a tough day at work and your spouse says, hey, we're gonna go shopping now. And we're gonna go to the grocery store, or I'm gonna go get a video game. I don't know what it is, right? You're gonna come home and say, oh my gosh, I'm too tired. I don't feel like doing that. We're good. Let me give you the flip side of that. The flip side of that is, let's say you've worked 7 days straight and you get home late every night. You've been looking forward to this sporting event. You've been looking forward to this concert. You've been looking forward to something, a dance, whatever it is, a kid's event, whatever, for 7 days straight. You're going to go and you're going to be excited about it because you'll have the energy. Why do you have the energy? Why do you think? Yeah, I'll tell you why. It's because your desire is there. So once you understand that your desire drives your energy, I think you're going to see a tremendous amount of results as well. So that's extremely important as well. You've got to understand that, a lot of people say, man, you're lucky. Hey, we create our own luck. A lot of things that you do, you need to be in harmony with how we operate as Family First Life. What do I mean by that? I mean, the most successful people are in line with the top down. The most successful people are listening to Sean and the leadership at Family First Life and following in line, because success leaves tracks. You don't need to reinvent any of the success that we have here, because it's extremely important. So when you think of the luckiest people in the world, it's simply because they're following a system that is already in place to help you dominate here in 2020. That's extremely important. And I've been talking about this a lot lately. If you've seen some of my previous trainings, even talked about it at our national convention. But you need to make sure that dream the dream. We've talked about vision boards before, how I believe that is very important. I used to think they're extremely cheesy, but I do believe they're important, because really, think about your dreams. They're the catalyst to getting what you want. Think about your goals. They're there to gain your dreams. So if you don't have dreams, it's like sitting in a room without any windows. You can't see anything. There's no vision. If you've ever sat in an office without windows, it's pretty depressing. All right. The other thing that goes for your goals, if you don't have goals, you don't have a roadmap to your dreams. So this is a thinking person's game. And some of you are just winging it and trying to fly by night, and it's not working that well, okay? So I need to make sure that when you're thinking of your dreams, goals, all these things, you need to make sure to take that massive action. It's the next step. So how do we achieve any outcome we want? First thing is, you have to stop negotiating with yourself. How do we do that? Number one goes back to having structure. That's extremely important. So a lot of times, like I was saying earlier, you're gonna tell yourself reasons why this isn't going to work. Oh, I just got a no-show. I got reschedules on. This is not gonna work. My spouse, my partner is telling me reasons why this is not gonna work. That's extremely important. It's also important to understand that, your brain is 3 times more negative than positive. So it's important to understand that you have to hang around and be around the most positive people as possible. Because if you're always around the negativity, it's going to bleed into your business, and it's going to bleed into everything you do. And I think it's extremely important to understand this. The other aspect of just making sure you achieve your outcome is, obviously, we talk about it a lot, but having your why in front of you is extremely important. The interesting part about having a why is this is going to change 10 times or more throughout your entire life. When I first joined in this financial services world, I was purely trying to provide for my family. It had nothing to do with any next level stuff. I just saw an opportunity, a sales opportunity, the greatest one in the world in my opinion, where I could actually help families and in turn help myself. And I knew there's a great amount of money that you could make doing that. Now, what's interesting over time is things start to change. As you start to build an agency, you realize, oh gosh, if we're able to help other people achieve success, not that I'm taking credit for it, but if we're able to help people achieve that success, then you know what? My why starts to change. And then you realize, gosh, it's not all about me. And you notice your sales start to go up. The best way to get your sales up, I think there's several ways, but I'll just give you a few that are on my mind right now, is number one, hire someone so you have some financial pressure that other people are relying on you. Number two is making sure that you do whatever it takes to get to the next level in regards to what we're doing. And I believe when your why starts to change, so will your reasons of doing this business. Now, what's awesome about Family First Life, think about the charity that's been given just this past year, the Dream Center, Make-A-Wish Foundation, bonuses to agents. These are things that don't have to happen, that come from the top down. And what's interesting about giving is it affects every person similarly. So the person that gives feels good, gives serotonin to the brain that is all good vibes. The person that gets it feels great about it. And even if someone's watching your giving, it gives those same feelings about it. So when you start to give back to your local community, when you start to give back, and it doesn't have to be monetary. I mean, you could be, taking a day off and donating time to your local food bank. I don't care what it is. It will make you feel better. And that's important to give back. So and it doesn't mean that my why is better than yours or vice versa. Nobody's why is better than anybody else's because everybody else is in a different aspect of their life. So just understand the greatest part about this business, it's kind of like having goals. If you meet your goals, you need to increase your goals, right? Sean's a great leader simply because he's always setting high mark goals and he shares it with the world. Everybody knows we want to hit 400 million this year. What if we don't hit it? What if we did 350? Great. We did 350. So the biggest thing is when you share your goals, it creates a level of accountability. You want to work with more urgency? Share your goals with people. That's extremely important as well. Take inventory on yourself. So what I mean by taking inventory on yourself is, what do you need to fix? Is it you waking up and going to bed at the same time because you need more structure? Is it, in regards to this business, can it be your phone skills? I guarantee for the vast majority of producers, even on this call, your phone skills are not up to par. You need to get better at the phone because it's 80% of what we do. 15% is the in-home and 5% is product knowledge. So you need to make sure and dominate the phones. Why is Dominic Rogers such an amazing producer? Have you ever listened to Make a Phone Call? There you go. He doesn't have a money problem because he's sitting with people. He's always in front of people. That's extremely important to understand. So what is a bad habit that you need to fix about yourself, that you need to improve? And how can we replace it? And I was talking earlier on the call that this is something that, if you look at what we do, and if energy is important, then your nutrition and exercise are at the forefront of this business. I believe in order for you to have the energy of what you say out of your mouth, you have to change a lot about yourself. Am I the pillar of nutrition and exercise? I'm not saying that. Do I try to do better and be better? I do. My point is this, is everything matters. The details in your business matter. You cannot expect to dominate if you don't have energy for your business. Getting the right amount of sleep for you. Someone could sleep 2 hours a day and operate totally fine. For others, it could be 8 hours. Whatever it is, your body needs the rest. You don't need the rest. It's just your body, to be clear. So those are extremely important things to identify to help fix yourself and how to be a better person. The next scenario is you've got to become a lot more selfish if you want to dominate in this business. So a lot of times people will say,
Well, I can't be selfish. I have children. I've got to go to their game, or I've got to do this for them, or I have to do that for them, or I have a spouse and I've got to watch the kids and I've got to do this. A couple things I would say about that is, number one, communication solves all problems. Understand that. Number two is, if you don't take care of yourself first, then how are you going to be able to take care of your kids? You take care of the business and the business will take care of you. It's just Murphy's Law, right? You need to make sure that you're not making whatever it is that's distracting you an excuse. And I'm not saying you should put your family time first. You should develop your calendar around what's important. But the problem is most people don't have the calendar and the desire to have things set in order. Family time, income producing time, maybe a fun time in the middle of the week or whatever you want, to make sure that it gives you enough break or energy so you can go out and dominate. The problem is when you spread yourself thin, or when you're spraying, or when you're wasting time, you're not going to get what you want out of this business. There's a big difference between you talking about it and you being about it, right? The next thing I would say is, make sure that you have a Batman to Robin power shift when it comes to your agents and when it comes to your staff that you may have. A lot of times you don't have to be Batman, you could be Robin. If someone's working on hiring and that's all they do is hiring, they probably know more about at least the initial dials and everything else than you do. So maybe you need to let your staff be Batman and hear what they have to say, because we don't know everything. We like to pretend like we know everything, but we certainly don't know everything. So I want you to think of a power shift in order to empower your agents. I think, like I said in the beginning, we want more structure at this point. Loose business when things are going crazy around this country is not what I'd recommend. You need to tighten it up. But at the same token, you need to empower your agents and look for their feedback and address their concerns. Some agents are concerned right now, and some agents have the right to be, because maybe they live with a sick person and they shouldn't be, out in the field as much, or whatever that might be. Or maybe it's just an excuse on them not wanting to work. Usually it's the latter. But I think if you address people's concerns and give different examples of people winning, I think you're going to eliminate a ton of inaction. Because the one thing I know for certain, bills are going to keep coming. They're going to keep stacking up. And the more that you sit around and think about doing something versus taking the action, the deeper hole you're going to dig and the further and further behind you're going to get. Momentum's really easy to lose, okay? But it's hard to get and it's hard to keep. So if you're someone that's got momentum, don't change anything. If you're someone that's digging out momentum, well, we need to look at changing some things, right? That's important as well. The 7 signs that I can give you that you're going to be successful in this business. Number 1 is you're super competitive. You look at the Jonathan Porcinas, of the world, Steve Giordano, these top producers. What are they? What do they all have in common? They are super competitive. Brad Allen, they look at the leaderboard all the time. So my question for you is this. When your agency leaderboard or the Family First Life leaderboard comes out, are you chomping at the bit to see it? Are you excited? I remember in the previous company, Sean, Mike, and I were always dueling it out to be the top producer. And I know Sean has told stories about this as well as myself, but we would be looking at the leaderboard like, oh, Sean wrote 25,000 this week. Or, I did this or whatever. And we're always watching each other and we're always competing against each other in a very healthy way, because it brings out the best in us. My point is this. At the end of the day, I do understand the number 1 competitor you have is the person you're looking in the mirror, right? But also it's important to be competitive to the leaderboard, competitive to everything. Because if you're super competitive, it's a sign that you're going to be extremely successful in this business. The next thing I would say is, are you someone that starts and finishes things? So a lot of times where I get frustrated is it's a lack of being organized, and I'll start one thing, I'll get some calls, I'll have to take some calls, and then all of a sudden the thing I started didn't finish, And it's due to my own problems, my lack of structure in order to get things done. Some things are urgent and some things are not urgent. It's your job to discern between those two things and understand how to make sure you get things done. I've always talked about you need 5 daily tasks that you complete every day, and that will create a compounding effect and a compounding effort over time. You do that for 100 days, and all of a sudden you'll probably be a darn board member. The difference is most people can't complete 5 tasks every day. It could be 3 in regards to your business, and it could be 2 in regards to personal things. But you have to dominate each day to allow that compounding effect so you don't waste days. When you're an entrepreneur, when you're self-employed, we're in the business we are in, it is important for you not to blow days, because those days that you blow are gonna bite you at the end of the day. It's extremely important. So do you finish the things you start? That's extremely important for entrepreneurs. Does your circle out earn you? So you are who you hang around. You know, you always hear of the top 5 friends and influences that you hang around and spend the most time with is probably where you're at. Meaning if everybody's making 50 grand and you hang out with people that make 50 grand, most likely you make $50,000, right? Within reason. If you're hanging out with people that make 100 grand, most likely you're probably making 100 grand. If you're hanging out with people that make 7 figures, most likely you're making 7 figures. So your job is to understand you need to hang around, your circle needs to out earn you. Is that the case for you? And unfortunately, with that top 5, you probably need to eliminate one of them right now. You probably need to make a trade. Doesn't mean you need to cut them completely out of your life. Maybe you do, but it doesn't mean you have to cut them completely out of your life. But you are who you hang around. That's your parents might have told you that when you're young. It's probably still true to this day as well. The other thing I would say is, for the 4th thing, does your mind keep working? Does your mind never stop? Are you yearning? Are you on the podcasts? True Talk, Inside the Sales. Do you get on Advanced Market Sales? Do you get on the Next Level Call? Do you get on your Zoom trainings? Do you share things? Are you on your group page? Are you posting? That's extremely important for you to make sure that you understand. I remember when I originally started in the car business, and I would go to bed thinking about cars and clients and closing and scenarios. And then I'd wake up thinking about cars, closing, clients, and scenarios. When I first got in the financial service industry, what was I thinking about? Oh, I met with this person, this happened, this objection. Always thinking about it. My mind never stopped. That's a sign that you're going to be successful. If you're not currently thinking that way, it means you don't have the desire and the want to like we think you do, like you think you do. So that's extremely important as well. Do creditable people see you going places? So let's say you ever meet some people. When I've been working very hard, I've had different people that know me well say, "Man, Matt, phew, you work so hard. I can't believe it. Like, boy, you really work hard." I've had a lot of people tell me that over the years. And if you don't have people telling you that, number one, you're probably not working that hard. But even better yet is you need credible people, some pillars in your community that may know you, or someone of success that's known you for years saying, "Gosh, I see a change in you now. You're a different person. I can see why you're going to be so successful." If credible people start seeing you going places, you're well on your way to having that success. Next thing is, are you always learning? We talked about being on all the calls. Do you get on YouTube channels? In between your appointments that you're running, do you take advantage of podcasts? Are you having conversations with those people that out earn you? Are you, using our cross-pollination scenario here at Family First Life? You have a bunch of mentors inside your business, and you can get a bunch of mentors outside your business. You think about Nick Ayala, how he trains. Here's some 3 people in our current agency, and here's 2 people outside the agency. Those are effective tools. We're all on one team. We're all here to help each other. That's an important aspect of what we do. And the final sign that you're going to be successful is, are you extremely excessive about everything? Do you want this? Do you have to have it? Because if you have that desire, you're going to have the energy. And with that energy, you're going to work your tail off and you're going to do whatever it takes. And you're not just going to say, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Your actions are going to be one of 10x or taking over or doing more. And all these things come in a line, and you'll notice that you'll have a high level of success. We're going to go ahead and move to some sales training next. I look forward to talking to you guys.